guys. So my name is Laura Vernon, and I am a professor of psychology in the Wilkes Honors College. I had the great fortune to be a provost fellow for student mental health for a couple of years. And now I'm doing mental health initiatives out of the Wilkes Honors College where I am. And in collaboration with the provost office and with Kate and Vinny at Tau, we are putting on this training that I think is going to be really helpful to everyone. So I just first, before we get started, want to briefly introduce Vinny, and then I'll ask Kate to introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Vinny, so I'm the Tau rep at FAU here. So any questions that you might have about Tau, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm always happy to help spread the word about this resource that was brought on campus by Kate that we'll be talking more about today. So thank you, Laura.
Thank you. Hi, Kate.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Vinny. Thanks for everyone for being here. I'm Kate Komenars. I'm a licensed psychologist and director of the Counseling Center at Florida Atlantic University. It's great to be here and so excited to see how many of you are interested in Tau. I became connected with Tau as I was talking before the meeting started, in 2014, when I worked at a prior institution. We were part of the beta test for Tau in its infancy. And Tau has grown substantially over the last 7 or 8 years. I have to say that when it began as a tool for therapists to use to increase the ability for us to meet with and provide services to students who were on the wide continuum of needing support and help for mental well-being, as well as clinical intervention. And the clinical interventions began with Tau with evidence informed treatments that included cognitive behavioral therapy, acceptance and commitment therapy, other kinds of evidence-informed treatment approaches. But it became really clear to us that students could really benefit from this without intervention from clinicians. So Tau, with our request, along with other institutions, developed what was called Tau self-help, when students didn't actually have to be engaged in any kind of contact with the counseling center. And we know that many students are reluctant to seek out formal treatment. And so this was a win-win for all of us that students could go directly to Tau. Over time, there have been additional, so many different programs and modules included in Tau. And we're really excited because our view as clinicians in the counseling center and from Al's Care Health Promotion and across the university is that we all have a stake and a part in creating a well-functioning and well-being centered community. And that the Healthy Campus 2020 and the Healthy Campus 2030, for them to really come off the page and become part of what we are doing in our daily life, Tau is really helpful. So I'm really excited to see what you all are going to be exposed to. And I have to let you know that the modules are really, really helpful. And I'm excited to hear and to be a resource. But what I've said in different places is Tau belongs to all of us, just in the same kind of way that we all have a part in making the university what it is. And using Tau is something that's a great opportunity for everyone. So I'm really glad to have this be part of something that has gained so much visibility. And of course, if there are any questions that you all have that may be specific to how Tau works for us and how we can, some suggestions we might make to help us or help us help you help students, I'm happy to do that as well. So thanks for the opportunity and take it away.
Thank you, Kate. So Kate is kind of the founder of our mental feast, so to speak, that she has provided the entire university with a subscription to a therapy assistance online. Is this kind of neat online program? And so I just wanted to introduce you all to it because I think it's a really helpful thing for all of us. It's got a lot of, as she was mentioning, evidence-based. Let me expand this a little bit. Evidence-based sort of therapeutic techniques, strategies, tools, and just sort of everyday psychological science behind things like goal setting, motivation, perfectionism. I know some of us are, still recovering, maybe fall off the wagon occasionally from that. So it's got a really broad range of things. I thought it would be useful for us today to just kind of think about it from the perspective of sort of what I often think of as some of the big five in psychology that we know from psychological science, that being connected socially is interpersonally is really, really important, that having a sort of a broad range of people that you feel connected to with family, friends, loved ones, coworkers, spouse, that all of these things matter a great deal. We know from childhood beyond, hopefully your parents were right, that getting to bed at a similar time, getting enough sleep, eating healthy is big. We were just talking today in wellness committee, faculty committee, about just how important exercise is as well, that exercise can kind of be part of this virtuous cycle where you are helping burn off extra stress, making yourself tired enough to sleep well, but also experiencing positive brain changes, neurochemical changes, mood as a result of exercise. And then just this idea of trying to sort of check in with yourself, get centered, be calm, sort of know where you're at, knowing how to calm yourself down and focus. And then just more broadly, kind of having some insight into who are you, what are your values, where are you going in your life, and what things do you want to grow and change, and where are you going? And I think Tao really can help with all of those things. I have been really impressed to kind of find the broad range of them. So just to give you an idea, here's a little bit what it looks like. So if you can navigate through Netflix, you can navigate through Tao, right? It is set up very similarly with these really nice tiles of new content. The first one I think was put there just for me, overcoming perfectionism, right? But there's a whole range of what's trending, things like stress and coping. And you can click into any of those and start watching. In general, kind of the way the content is organized is in sort of three different layers. So if you look at kind of this single session grab and go idea, that there are sessions as short as 2 minutes, sort of deep breathing, mindfulness kinds of strategies. There are short courses that include a range of stacked material that, Vinny, correct me, is it 1 to 4 hours? Usually those are total, a short course?
3 to 4 on average.
3 to 4. Okay. And the long courses, how long are those typically?
7 to 10. So not each topic will have a short course and long course. That depends on what you're choosing. So if you choose something like general stress, then yes, you will have 10 hours worth of content if you want to do it. If you choose something like burnout, you'll probably have a little less. So it just depends on the topics at hand, and you'll see the differences when you click on the topic. You'll see on the right-hand side, you'll have short course and long course options if they're there. If not, it'll just be blank, and then you'll have the single sessions at the bottom.
Thank you. Yeah, so Vinny is the content expert. I am the new convert that is just very excited about this, but I don't know all that much about it yet. I've just been playing with it for a couple weeks now. But what it looks like for me in my dashboard, just to give you an idea, I take periodically this quickie little 5-item well-being index, and it's, it gives you an idea of, okay, October 26th, I was a little stressed, a little tired, a little unhappy, right? November 2nd, doing a little better. November 5th, doing a little better. And you'll be pleased to know my most recent one, I got a full-fledged smiley face on it. So I am trending in the right direction. That might have something to do with the upcoming holidays. And what I extra like is that, over here on the right, kind of under the tools, there are all sorts of different ways of tracking your progress. So if you are working on a specific set of issues, you want to keep track of how well you're doing, you can do that and get these really nice representations, and also kind of have it cue your thinking on how to use it. And there's this very nice to-do list over here, which is a little bit like your Netflix queue. So you can pick what you want to do next. Or, as we'll talk in a little while, Vinny and I designed a kind of short 2-hour total worth of content. If you don't know where to start and you just want to start with some general relaxation and sort of get some across the board strategies going, that you can actually, when you join a sort of a group of content, it'll automatically preload it into your to-do list for you. So that is another option. So when you actually start looking at the content, you have a really broad range of content. So there are live action scenes, there are motion graphics, there are cute little animations, they have games, connect the dots, they have free response cards. They also have kind of closed response cued cards. So just to give you an idea of what some of this might look like, I recently took this challenging assumptions little short module. And the first thing it does is it had me watch a video where it gave an example of someone making assumptions about how things weren't going to go well and they were nervous about a social event. And so you've got this sort of video to cue your thinking and get you thinking. And then it kind of stops and asks you to reflect on your own life. And so here it was talking about these trigger words, and it was asking, how often do you use the following signal words in your life that may be indicative of unhelpful assumptions, right? And so you just kind of stop, reflect, think about it, answer, and then it went on to have you practice a little bit. So it would give some examples and say, okay, which one of these are examples of signal words? Then it would ask you an open-ended question. In this case, it was challenge an assumption by composing questions that might indicate that the assumption is unreasonable, right? And this one was about sort of things always needing to be comfortable. And so I kind of was thinking, okay, what are some questions I could ask myself? Well, would you always want a life where things are comfortable, right? Would constant comfort be boring? And so it kind of gets you thinking and applying what it's trying to teach you, applying what you're learning, and then kind of reflecting back again and evaluating, okay, based on this answer, right, how reasonable or unreasonable is this? And it uses this kind of temperature gauge in a number of different ways, asking you about things in other parts of the course as well, which I thought was really nice. And so what Vinny helped me do is thinking about, okay, if we've got these top five hits in psych of connection, healthy living, active living, being centered, being insightful, she helped put together this nice FAU, faculty and staff thrive TAU content. So it's got 11 sessions, it's got a total of 126 minutes in it. And you can sign up with this URL, which I will put in the chat right now in case anyone is super antsy to do it. And we'll send it out as well in an email later today. You can also join using the QR code. And so this is nice because I think, you know, our students are especially QR code experts, but it's a nice way of being able to do this on your phone or in lots of different ways. So if we're talking about getting connected, Vinny and I set up, as part of this link, we've got 10-minute social support. And that particular module is nice. I watched that earlier today, and it kind of talks about different relationships in your life and sort of evaluating the value of them for different things. And I think, a lot of the physical exercise and sleep habits as well, really useful for just reminding us of some of the things we probably already know, but then also telling us about the new state of the science. So some of the new sleep research that's come out, I was not aware of. The physical exercise parts I was aware of, about how physical exercise is actually increasing not only activity, but kind of growing new nerves in your brain. We have Henriette von Prague on the Jupiter campus who has done some of that research for us. And so that's just a nice quick 10 minutes to sort of get you thinking. And it includes things that are problematic for sleep, as well as things you can do to improve your sleep. There's another one on nutrition that we included in there, and that's actually links nutrition to anxiety and talks about foods that reinforce and combat anxiety. So I learned a lot from all of those. Some of the ones that I think are going to be really useful for all of us, faculty, staff, students, are just these really quickie little, 2-minute observing thoughts, or the 3-minute deep breathing exercise, or 6 minutes finding your happy place, or there's a longer one that's guided imagery for 20 minutes. Really, both the finding your happy place and the longer one are about guided imagery. And I just want to talk for a couple minutes about those, because those are some of my favorite strategies for myself with sort of relaxing, because it engages your mind. So one of the things that my students and previous clients would tell me is that some of the deep breathing exercises were not always as useful for them, because their mind would be going still while they were doing the deep breathing, and they would be busy coming up with to-do lists or stressing about whether they were even doing the deep breathing right. And so these I like because what they do is encourage you. The finding your happy place one would be a great way to just sort of teach yourself how to do guided imagery. It talks about sort of imagining a place where you are calm, where your environment is peaceful. It might be by a side of a creek. It might be at the beach. It might be walk in the woods. It might be at your grandmother's house, right? But that you really just kind of fully immerse yourself in your imagination and all of the sights and sounds and smells and feels of that location. And this module kind of prompts you along the way to think about, what does it look like, right? What does it smell like? If you lay down on the floor or on the ground, or what does that feel like? And I think that's a really useful one. So those are extra nice. And then there are also these little educational pieces. So thinking about kind of all of us striving to keep improving, striving to keep in touch with ourselves, reflecting. I think there are some really nice kind of psychoeducational pieces. And so Vinny picked out for us ones that I really liked. I watched these, and Sources of Well-Being was nice. It was a way of just sort of thinking about your life across the board. I think when we're together at work, we maybe think a lot about work, but we are all full, rich people with lots of selves and lots of lives outside of work, be it exercise or spirituality or being a parent or a partner or someone in a group or a club. And I think that was kind of a nice way of thinking through what are the different parts of your life and making sure you're not neglecting those, and that those are actually a way to kind of give yourself more energy, feed yourself in a way. The cognitive response system is a nice one that talks about anxiety specifically, but sort of more broadly, how we make appraisals and attributions, how we think about events and the big impact that that can have on us. And then we've got getting stuck in our thoughts, which I think is a really useful one, right? Sort of during COVID, a lot of us had a little too much isolation and a little too much thinking to do and a lot of upset. And so knowing kind of when to back away, how to disconnect a little bit. And then I also really like the motivation one, because it talks a little bit about goal setting, about how to sort of scaffold yourself and build up across the tasks so that you're doing those things. So all of those go together into this broader sort of faculty and staff thrive little TAO, sort of, you can think of it as your starter toolkit. So before I go any further, I would just love to hear, has anyone checked out TAO yet who's on the call? And you can put it in the chat or you can just shout out. Not yet, that's okay, Patricia. Okay, Michelle has been in a little. Vinny, could you send a link for us? I'll send our link again for the material.
And to go off of that too, just keeping in mind, if you follow the link and join that group, and the way that it's set up is that it's completely anonymous, and you can join it and do some of the sessions that Laura talked about, but then you can also continue to explore and go straight to that browse all content page. So like some of the mindfulness exercises, there's about 19 or 20 other ones from the ones that Laura talked about. So it's definitely not an all-inclusive list of the content available. So you might try something and then end up liking something else, or it's a good way to start. And then you realize that you're funneling towards a certain way, and that's what you want to build up on. So there's definitely a lot of content out there. And I think this is a really good start, though, talking about each of those points that it really fits in. And you can see from the sessions there between 10 to 25, 45 minutes, depending on the session. So some of them are short and sweet. You don't have to do them all at once. You can stop, go do something else, come back to it. It'll save right where you are. So you don't have to feel like you have to sit down in front of your computer or phone for an extended period of time if you don't want to. It can all be done at your own pace. So I'm going to put in the registration link as well. And you just put in your first name, last name, FAU email, and it's going to bring you straight to anonymous self-help, and you can navigate the content however you like.
Yeah, thank you, Kate, for answering that question. So the students, faculty, and staff, we can all register the same way. It's all using our FAU email. And so as long as you use your FAU credentials, it will be free. And as Vinny said, I would sort of encourage you to just browse a little bit. So for me, in a little while here, I think we'll do did I pick out the deep breathing one? There's a few different ones. There's one where the music was a little too jazzy for me. And so I started listening to that one and then thought, no, this isn't relaxing me enough. This would be good on a day when I'm super tired and I need the music to counteract the deep breathing and keep me awake. So I then stopped, went and found the other one and listened to that. And there's a search bar. So if you put in something like relaxation or nutrition, it will come up with multiple options for you. And you'll get to see kind of how long different ones will take. The ones that are the coursework ones will kind of prompt you to think through things and learn new material. Others of them will just be, providing content like the deep breathing. So one thing I also want to just kind of talk about briefly too is, since we got this question about, okay, how do the students use it? Students can use it as well. So, and there's different ways we can encourage our students to use it. Sort of the lightest lift, the easy low-hanging fruit is just send an announcement to the students about, hey, there's this cool thing, Tao, here's how you log in, right? And that can be it. I think the next easiest lift is to give extra credit for badges. That Tao has this nice system of when you complete different content, it gives you a little badge and puts it in your little badge kind of in your profile. And so students can submit those as PDF files or as screenshots. You could also just show a Tao video in class. I did one of my FAU Thrive team meetings. We stopped and did the deep breathing one. I had one student ready to fall asleep. So it helped me identify who was maybe needed to watch the sleep training as well, but they actually really liked it. And so I think, just doing little things even with our students as a way to sort of get centered or take a break or a refresh or a reset can help. A little more medium lift is you can contact Vinny. And Vinny, could you put your email in the chat for folks? You can actually get Tao admin privileges, and that will allow you, if you want, to kind of design your own sets of content for students. So if, as you're playing with it, you find that there are 3 things you really like, or things that you think would be useful for your students. One of the things I do in psychology is talk to my students about part of their professional development is self-care. And I know a lot of you are, training young future professionals. And so talking to them about the need to know what's out there, to make use of the resources, and then to actually do it, right? You can design your own, but that's more of the heavy lift one, right? Designing your own content group. The medium kind of, and maybe even light lift, once you have admin privileges, Vinny is also willing to make content groupings for us. So I talked to her a little bit about what I thought might be helpful for faculty and staff. And then she, thought about, okay, do we want 1 or 2 hours? And then she pulled the content and put it together really quickly for us. And she's happy to do that for you all as well. So if you have students that you're worried about burnout, or you want them familiar with substance use and issues related to that, right? You can kind of ask her to help you customize, or she can do a quick, easy one for you. Vinny, do you want to say a little more about that process?
Yes, and I apologize. I was answering a question in the chat, but then I realized that I sent a direct message. But I think Ayn, sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. asked a direct question that I think is beneficial for everybody. So they asked if there was an enrollment key. So there is an enrollment key for the group. If you're going to the register page, there'll be a little space that says enrollment key, parentheses optional. So if you don't use one, you'll be brought straight into anonymous self-help. And that's where you can go to browse all content and pick and choose the sessions that you'd like. If you use the enrollment key called faculty de-stress, which is actually embedded in that URL that Laura sent, so you won't need it if you're using that link. But if you're going to the register page and you want to be a part of this de-stress group, just put in where it says enrollment key faculty de-stress, and that will bring you exactly to that content set that Laura and I created. So that's
I renamed it.
Sorry.
I renamed it Faculty Thrive, and I didn't tell you. I was playing around with it and was very pleased with myself that I figured out how to rename it, but my communication skills were not ideal. So that one is called
enrollment key as well.
What's that?
Did you change the enrollment key as well, or just the name?
I did.
Perfect.
I did.
Okay. So enrollment key is Faculty Thrive.
I think so. I hope I did it right.
We'll confirm that before the end of this. But so if you use that, or just use the sign up URL, I think that's the easiest way to join it if you want to be a part of that group. And if you just want to go into anonymous self-help without the group, then just don't put in an enrollment key and it'll put you there. But as far as setting up a group of content and using that for classes or for however you want to use it with students, give them extra credit, anything, please just don't hesitate to reach out to me. We'll set up something, we'll do a training. I'll give you some more information on that, or I'm more than happy to do it for you as well. Just ask me what you're looking for. If you have any questions about different ways it can be implemented. Sometimes people come up with new ways. Sometimes they want to ask about a way that's already existing. We can definitely discuss that. And if there's more time, we're happy to do that today, or we can meet at a later date, have a follow-up and talk about that some more.
Yeah, Vinny is phenomenal. I told her what I wanted and magically things just appeared in the group section. And yes, Vinny, I was successful.
Look at this.
You know, it's easy when I managed to do it in like just a few minutes over the weekend. So I decided it wasn't just de-stress, it's about thriving. We have content across all 5 of our big 5. So
I like this better.
Yeah, me too. I renamed it. So it's Faculty Thrive is the enrollment key for this. Vinny also helped create an FAU student de-stress. So if you want to share that with your students, that one, the enrollment key would be de-stress. And so for that one, we did less. I figure with you all, just if you don't like something that's in your to-do box, skip it. And for the students, we just put 6 sessions in there, total of 65 minutes. The student enrollment, I will put that link in the chat also so that they've got it. Oh, this is a great question. So Anita is asking, are there any modules that have been validated or tailored for various cultural groups, meditation exercises that are culturally tailored?
So we make sure to be inclusive of everybody when we're creating content. It's a big part of what we're aiming to do is that anybody should be relating to the content from a variety of different cultures, variety of different ages. It's set to have a lot of variability in it. As far as a group for, we did create one centered around cultural adjustment, but it doesn't, it was set up to be a cultural adjustment stress group, but they don't specifically address adjusting to a new culture. They more so provide useful skills in communication and being aware of one's own personal values. So we definitely have a group. We have content for a group like that. You won't see in Browse All content, but we can very easily set it up under anyone, or I can send it if you want to do it for yourself as well. So that's as close as we are right now, but we're constantly working on new content too.
Well, and I should say, sort of the other question is this idea of, has it been validated for various cultural groups? A lot of these, the cognitive behavioral therapy, the ACT, the mindfulness, those therapeutic techniques have been tested in a really broad range of racial, ethnic, cultural groups in the US. And so that's actually one of the things that I think is really attractive about this set of content that we have is that it is overseen by people who have expertise in the field. There's a lot of kind of pseudoscience out there in psychology and a lot of trendy, just want it and it will come to you kind of thinking. And this is based in science. And so even if there are not things that have the specific cultural content, I think a lot of these are well validated across lots of different groups. Thank you for that question, Anita. Let's see, did I miss any other questions? All right. So a little more about the students, and then we'll get back to us again, because really sort of meeting our needs is the main goal of today's session. So we've got this set up for the students with an hour of content. And I want to make a couple points here. So the content that Vinny picked out is, some of it is parallel to what we included in the faculty and staff modules, but you'll see that it says student in parens after several of them. And so what that means is, for example, if you do just a search for physical exercise and sleep, 2 physical exercise and sleep habits modules will come up. One is for college students specifically, has college student examples in it, and one is for adults. And so I watched both, and I far and away like the adult content better for me, obviously, and maybe even for some of our students. So you could share that with our students that, more of the brain research, for example, was in this one, was not in this one, was in our adult one and not in the student one. But so we've given them the physical exercise and sleep, the observing thoughts, the deep breathing, the guided imagery, the cognitive response system, but their own version of it, and the getting stuck in our thoughts version. And what you'll see is, if the students do it, or for that matter, if you do it, right, as I mentioned, it will create these little badges and show what was earned and when. Now, you are not going to have access to the student badges for the most part, but this is kind of another place that I wanted to just sort of have Vinny tell us a little more.
So as far as the badges go, every time you complete a session in TAL, you will get a badge for it. So this is a really nice thing when you want to use it as far as assigning extra credit, because what you can do is you don't really have to spend a lot of time in TAL. You can just tell them complete 5 sessions, send me 5 badges, and then I'll give you 2 extra credit points. Or then you can set up groups and have them do it for class, however you want to do it. But in the end, just know that every time a session is completed, you and the student would receive a badge for that session. It'll tell you the name, the session that was completed, as well as the date and time. So that's like a tangible, accessible point that they get every time they complete a session, that they can either send you a link to, download it as a PDF, print the page. It's meant to be a very accessible way to send that in.
Yeah, when you create one, it looks like this. So they have an option of downloading the certificate, of viewing their own course responses, which is useful because, for goal setting, it prompts you to think about what's a big goal that you want to try to achieve, and then what are some intermediate steps that you want to take to get there. And so, once the students do that, they might want to go back and revisit that. It also allows just copying a link into a clipboard. So they've got a couple of different ways to produce a badge if we want to. And I should sort of say too, Vinny corrected me a little bit earlier today, because I was writing an email summarizing things and saying, oh, it's completely confidential and FAU will never have access to your responses. And that's true for faculty and staff, but there are a few caveats for students. And so I wanted to just kind of talk about that for a minute too. Vinny, can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, and the way that works is, especially in the counseling center, when the counselors are seeing a client and having them do things in TAL, as healthcare providers, they will have access to more in-depth view of the information. So those interactions that are completed within sessions, if a counselor assigns it or they're part of their client group, which is a bit more information, in TAL, then they would have access to viewing the session activity for that client. That's something that they agree to when they sign up for TAL. Now, that's if they're being seen by a clinician, and it's only for the content that the clinician is assigning, as well as what's in anonymous self-help. It wouldn't be if it's a part of your class or anything like that, but you, as part of a facilitator of a group, if you choose to be one, would have access to seeing whether or not a student's completed a session. So you wouldn't see the detailed activity, but you would see whether or not it's been done. We do have a grade book feature in Tau. That's what's really nice, that it can be used in classes, because then you don't have to worry about receiving 100 badges or 400 of them if you're asking them to complete 4 sessions, depending how many students you have. You can just put them in that custom group in Tau, and then you will see their names as well as the sessions they've done and the date that it's been done. So it's a really nice and easy way. You can download it as an Excel or CSV, re-upload it into Blackboard, Canvas, however you want to do it, or do a PDF drop file into Canvas. So there's definitely a couple of different ways of getting students credit if it's something that you'd like to do. But as far as the way that groups are set up, especially for faculty and staff, if you're going straight into anonymous self-help, no one's going to have access. We just ask you that you enroll with your FAU email so that we can put you in the right place as part of FAU. And that's how we know the site knows that where you're supposed to be affiliated with. But if you're joining the group that Laura and I created, there's no facilitator on that group. So it is completely anonymous. So that's how it differs with students. If you're asking them to complete it for a class, then you would have access if you're the facilitator of that group in Tau. And if it's something that you're interested in, we can talk about that further when we set up a group for you. But just know for the group today, there is no facilitator on that group. So it's completely anonymous.
Yeah, other questions about Tau or about using this with your students? Let's see. Okay, Anita. So I'm thinking about sessions that would help faculty and students cope with racialized stressors that they are confronted more and more on an individual and community level. I know there are specific intervention online programs out there. How easy, difficult would it be to incorporate those type of modules into this program? I'm not sure. So are you asking if Tau is going to be coming out with those things, or whether some of Tau's modules could be incorporated into the broader therapeutic interventions that you're thinking about?
Whether those types of modules could be added to this particular program that you're talking about.
So as of right now, Tau doesn't have specific DI content. It is something we're working on, but we do have sessions centered around values, around communications, understanding and avoiding drama in relationships. So I'm not sure if that's exactly what you're looking for, or if it would fit. I think I might need a little more information to answer that better.
Yeah, Anita, do you have a specific program in mind? Or did we lose her? No, she's still there.
And that's something that I might not always know the answer to, but I'm always happy to escalate that. Perfect. So she said she knows some and that she'll forward. So those kinds of questions I like to send directly over to our clinical team. So we do have a clinical team at Tau. They don't see patients through Tau, but they've helped us build all of our content and come out with suggestions, as well as take feedback for new content that should be developed. So for those questions, I'm more than happy to facilitate the communication to get you the best possible answer.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think that would be fantastic, because I think between, yeah, I mean, gosh, the racialized aggressions and stress for sure, in so many different ways for so many of our students and faculty. So that, yeah, if you know of some, forwarding them. And I know they might not have they probably can't immediately turn around and produce it at Tau, but maybe if you all start working on it, it will be available eventually. And
the more feedback we get with requests, the easier it is to come out with, to bring that up to leadership and ask for something like this to happen, and just get the more feedback we have. All of the sessions in Tau are based on feedback and requests we've received. So the latest ones, like overcoming perfectionism and overcoming loneliness and coping with pandemic trauma, these are all that were come from our clients by request. So we have 2 new ones coming out too, one on managing your finances and one that is a primer on trauma again. So just any feedback you can give as you're watching these is really helpful to our team to help build and improve what we have.
Kate, I'm kind of curious about, Oh, sorry, wait. So it looks like Serene said, you mentioned an enrollment key. Can you please send a follow-up email that gives us information on what was discussed related to this? Yes, definitely. Serene, for us, just Faculty Thrive, all lowercase, no spaces, is all you need to type in when you enroll to get the 2 hours of content that Vinny and I picked out for faculty and staff. For students, students can put in, I think, was it student de-stress? I'll have to go back
I
and
think
look,
it might
but
have
yeah,
just been de-stress, I think.
that might be right. That might be right. And we're recording this, so we'll also have this posted so that if you missed it, I know steering was going on, and so some of you may have been there first and hopped over here at some point. Kate, so I would just love to hear for a minute about, so are you all using this with a lot of our students at CAPS, some of our students at CAPS, all of our students at CAPS? How does this fit into what you all are doing?
Well, we had delays in getting the contract signed because contracts always take 3 times as long as you expect them to. So by the time we actually were go with TAO, the semester had started. So we have been learning about TAO at about the same pace that all of you have or will. We've been at it a few more months than you, but we've had an incredibly intense semester of demand that has exceeded the demand that we had in the fall of 2019. So we've been using primarily this as a recommendation to our clients to check it out. Our clinicians have not begun incorporating it as part of the meat and potatoes of the work that they're doing with students. But it is, we're encouraging students to use it as self-help, and we're going to be rolling it out more intensely and integrally, more integrated into the work we do clinically in the spring semester. In my prior institution, a lot had to do with sort of like the style of therapy that particular clinicians engage in. So for those folks for whom there are modules that are in sync with their clinical orientation and theoretical orientation, it's a very fast adoption. For others, it's a bit slower. But one of the things that we found is that when we can get students to actually try it, they like it. So one of the things that I'm hoping for is that when all of you try it, you'll like it and you'll see applicability for the academic success of your students, because so many things about, mindset and resilience and coping, when people have more understanding of what goes into those, they do better. We all know that procrastination doesn't lead necessarily to the best possible product. So having people have more of an understanding of how anxiety and procrastination go together can be really helpful for students. And as you learn more things that seem to resonate for you, you may find lots of applications for your students, regardless of the specific discipline that you have your specialization in. So we're learning. I myself was an early adopter of TAO in therapy. I see it as a way to increase the impact. And there's so much that is taught through these modules that I really appreciate working with students to help them figure out how to apply what they've learned and not teach them. Because, as we know, teaching people one by one takes more time than if they can acquire the concepts and then work on adapting them and implementing them. So that's kind of where we're at. That's a long explanation, but we're working on it, and I'm really excited that it is moving forward throughout the university, because I think that it goes hand in hand with students' success, and we can't give what we don't have. And I know many of us are feeling depleted and tired and mentally, showing signs of wear and tear from the last, however long the combination of stressors and tragic events that continue to occur, how they've impacted us personally and professionally. So that's sort of where I see this. And the more we implement this and the more we can take this on and make it useful for all of us personally and with all the people that we touch, hopefully we'll see positive impacts on well-being. And I really liked it when you said that, when you started, your smiley face wasn't smiley, and that over time that improved. Because I think as a psychologist, I remember in one of my first undergraduate courses in psychology, hearing that the things we measure change. And hopefully when we're adding positive things to our repertoire, things change in a positive direction.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I think. Think that
I know
this-
she's out today, but I sent her a
Okay, wait,
team message.
there we go. Oh, good. Oh, good. We got, and I know Michelle Hawkins was trying to get in to join us. It looks like she got in, so I'm glad. Yeah, I liked it, Kate. It was really nice to have five questions. Took me, 20 seconds max to answer them, but it did make me do a quick self check-in about how much energy do I have? Oh, wait, not really as much as I would like. How did I sleep last night? Oh, wait, not that well. And so just right, what you measure, I think makes you reflect and makes you just even small incremental changes. I just started paying better attention too to when I was drinking my caffeine. I stopped drinking my second, third cup of coffee at 3 or 4 just because I was tired, and reminded myself, like, just walk around the block. Come on, there's other ways of waking yourself up that aren't going to interfere with sleep. So yeah, having the monitoring, the measuring, I think is really useful. I like this for a couple of reasons. One is, I think because there is all this range of content in there, I think anyone who has concerns about stigma doesn't need to feel like it's not an embarrassing thing that you're using this, because it has nutrition and goal setting and motivation and success strategies and my hope is that this is a mechanism for getting students and faculty and staff who might otherwise be a little embarrassed about engaging in more directly therapeutic content to engage in this content, because it is so broadly applicable. And I'm especially excited about sort of the idea that students that might be a little nervous about going into CAPS, this might be a foot in the door for them to try this and start to benefit, and then maybe become open to going to CAPS, and also to get used to using this. And then if they are working with a clinician who's going to use it, then it's available. But it's available for all of us. And Yolanda's asking a question, Vinny, I don't know this one. Is the content similar to that of Very Well Mind?
And unfortunately, I don't know that one either. I'll have to check that out. That's not one of the ones I'm familiar with. I know a lot of other similar online platforms will have mostly CBT content is what we've been seeing. So there is a mix from what we have, but I'm not sure if their sessions are the same or what's, because some of them won't have the videos. They'll just have written out things. So that's something I'll have to take a peek at and report back.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that either. Greater good in action. I don't know, Michelle. I do know through Berkeley, but I don't know what their content is like either. But I can share with you all what some of this content looks like. I thought we could take a minute to do maybe Vinny, do you have it available on yours? The 2-minute one.
Right up. Which one was it that
you wanted to, or the 3-minute one? Can we do the 3-minute one? The 2-minute one? Well, I don't know. You all can vote. Do you want jazzy music or relaxing music?
I don't know. You sounded partial to the non-jazzy, so I'd rather everybody be happy.
Well, I am partial to the non-jazzy, but if any of you
You're in
are
charge, make a decision for the group.
all right. But if anyone's feeling a little sleepy, that comes with the sort of the warning of it may relax you a little too much, because I did have one student taking longer and longer blinks on the Zoom, and we had to kind of.
And you know what? Let me share my screen actually, so I can show you just how quickly you can navigate from when you're in browse all content, if that's okay.
Yes, do. That's perfect. And then
You
they'll get
can-
to see it again.
It's disabled for me.
Oh, Michael, can you co-host her?
Yep, I'll do that.
Thank you.
Oh, there you go. You've got
Oh, yay. Perfect.
spectacular cosmic powers now.
Yeah, I feel pretty dangerous.
Woo!
All right. So this is my screen, and what I did is when I'm logging in, and if you want to use this for class and you want to go ahead and set up groups of content, just keep in mind that you will always have your anonymous self-help access embedded into your staff account. So if you decide to use this for class, you will not forego your anonymous self-help access. The way that it'll work is if you're in your staff dashboard, once you first log in, to get to your anonymous self-help, all you'll have to do is click on your profile and then click learner view. So this is also nice if anybody has questions for you, that you can easily navigate and see what it looks like on the student end, if you choose to have that staff account. So just something to keep in mind as if you use it for classes, or you're also a lot of the frontline people of students coming in to you telling you that they might need a little assistance, but they might not be ready to go to CAPS yet, or it's not quite to the point where they want to see someone, but they still need a little help, some anxieties with finals or things like that. And it doesn't always have to be about concerns. It can just be to build emotional intelligence. Incorporating an emotional intelligence standpoint into our education can make such a difference for people, whether it's faculty and staff or for students. It's just can give them such great points to guide them through what they're doing and through life. And then they know that they have this resource available to them. So if they don't need it, great. If they want to learn some things, or if their friend is having difficulties and they want to help them in any way they can, well, they can also look at some of the resources on here too. And I apologize. I think my Wi-Fi is being a little fidgety. So let's see. All right. So I clicked on my browse all content page, and this is something that you'd have available again in a staff account and a learner account. Everybody can see browse all content. So whether you are in a group and you have access to the content that way, you can come in here and do anything else in TAL. So you can search if you know what you're looking for. So if I know the name of my session, I can put it here and search it. Or if I want to browse, I can look at new content, trending, and then our topics and our subtopics. So for this one, I'm going to go into the mindfulness category and look at our options. So it's under resilience, grit, and personal strength. I find mindfulness, and this has all the mindfulness sessions as well as all the mindfulness exercises. So what's really nice about these is that some of them are only 2 minutes. So it's really nice if you have just a few minutes to do something, or if you want to go take a quick walk, have a mindful walking, it doesn't have to take a long time to do it. So, and I think, was it the deep breathing? Which one did we say we wanted to do, Laura?
Maybe it was we could try deep breathing. I think it might have been something else, but mine wasn't loading either. I was having the same kind of fussy computer issue.
Observing thoughts is another short one. States of flow. We have mindful breathing. We have 3 different mindful breathing exercises and 3 different meditation for pain exercises as well. And then a loving kindness, that's a little longer. Finding your happy place is quite nice, but a little longer too. Light as a feather, breathe in peace.
Yeah, I think let's do deep breathing maybe or the mindful breathing. Any of those are fine.
So should we try this one? Do you know which one had the jazzy music in it?
I think it was that one. I think let's try the deep breathing one with the butterfly.
And you know what? I just realized I didn't share my sound. So let me stop sharing and come back, because I think that's something you have to do with share sound. There it is. And what I like about the mindfulness exercises too is that a lot of the time the image is stagnant, or it's a video that you can choose to watch, but you can also just do it while you're walking or while you're doing something else. It's not something that really requires your attention to be on the screen. So I think it's nice that you can do it laying down, closing your eyes, anything that you might want to do. So let me make this full screen. And can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
So there's also a closed captioning option on all of these. English and French, but for the purpose of this experiment, we'll do English.
Well, and let me add too that I know you all are working on Spanish.
Yes.
Also.
Yes. So that's not something we have an end date for yet, but it is something that's in the works.
Start by taking a deep, full, slow breath.
I just want to confirm my sound is coming through. Super. Thank you.
Now take 10 deep breaths. Focus on your breathing. Feel the air in your throat. Feel your lungs expand and your abdomen expand and contract. Now let any thoughts come and go in the background. As each thought or image appears, notice it like a soft cloud moving across the sky. Allow the thoughts to drift in and out of consciousness. Watch them float by. If you find that one grabs your attention, just say to yourself, thinking. If a thought hooks you and takes you away, return your focus to your breath. Feel the sensation of breathing in and out. Most people are hooked by thoughts several times as they do this exercise. That's okay and normal. Were you able to notice the difference between your thinking self and your observing self? Could you pull yourself back to the task once you found yourself hooked by a thought? The observing self is the part of you that focused on breathing and noticed your thinking. The thinking self was the chatter in the background that went by like clouds.
And so that's it. So that one's really nice and short. And I mean, you can do it as many times as you want to. And the nice thing about a lot of mindfulness is that you get better and better every time you do it. It's like any sport, anything you practice, the more you do it, the more you can improve and really separate yourself from your thoughts. So it's just nice that you can play it on repeat, anything, anywhere. Don't have to be looking at the screen. I like it because it helps me focus away from trying to pull away on all my thoughts. But so there's a lot of different ones if you like deep breathing or if you prefer guided imagery, mindful examination of a leaf, mindful eating, mindful walking, lots of different options out there.
Thank you, Vinny. Yes, there are. No, we've got a lot of great resources at our fingertips at this point. I put also in the chat the Robin Rubin Center for Happiness and Life Enhancement, also has ongoing events with mindfulness experts leading Zoom mindfulness that you can register for. They also have archived YouTube content as well. So we've got multiple ways of doing this. And let me see, is Michelle, do you have a link where folks could send up, Michelle Lazat-Wisniewski, do you have a link where folks could sign up for like Pilates or other things? I know the College of Med had an amazing resource as well that people can register for and do. So if that's there, that would be great. All right. Well, I want to just thank you all so much for coming. And I really want to thank Michelle Hawkins for reaching out to me and asking that we do this, that I know she is, you know, really sending everyone out good vibes and wanting us all to claw our way through the end of the semester. And so she and I were brainstorming about how to best support you all. And we thought that this would be really a useful way to try to do it.
Can you hear me?
Yes, there you
Okay.
are.
My biggest problem is stressor is getting in and out of these meetings. I'm sorry I was late. I had another meeting. So I just appreciate everything that all of you have done. And I look forward to it. And I already signed up. I'm going to use it. And Vanell, you're really good at demonstrating the program. You help people like me. Maybe you could help me learn to get onto Zoom too.
I could actually, I'd be more than happy to. We do use Zoom in the platform, so that's one of our go-tos. But anybody who has any questions, big or small, just feel free to reach out to me. My email's in the chat. I'm always happy to help them.
Will you put it in the chat one more time? Because I think people who
Yeah.
join afterwards, I don't know if they have access to the previous chat. So if you'll put it in, that would be great. Yeah, Vinny is the goddess when it comes to these things. She's had an answer for everything I've needed and then some, and she is quick and responsive. She can give you admin privileges. She can answer your questions. She is spectacular. And so I just want to thank you all again. And Kate, thank you for bringing this to us.
Kate,
And
thank you. Thank you, Laura.
you're welcome. My pleasure. We will have one more of these in the spring. So I'm open to content. Feel free to email me. And we'll also do some mental health first aid trainings as well. Some of those will be remote. Some of those will be in person in Jupiter and Boca. So I will let you all know about those. And we'll have a follow-up email that we'll send out from here with more resources and a link to this video and a link to more instructions and probably more than you ever wanted, but also things you can cut and paste into your Canvas site and into announcements for students and other things. So if you're feeling a little overwhelmed, you can copy paste and we'll take care of it for you. All right,
I
everyone.
hope all of you have a great Thanksgiving and I hope you're getting through this semester okay. And we are thinking of everybody right now. We know these are tough times and that's why we're doing this.
Agreed. All right. Thank you. Bye.